You ever wonder why she doesn't text back, even though you gave her everything? Why the guy who treats her like trash gets all her attention, while you, the one who listens, respects, and provides, gets left unread? It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because women are complicated. It's because you don't know what she actually responds to. There are 7 things women only do when they like you. And if she's not doing these, she doesn't feel it for you, no matter how nice you are. But what if you could flip that? What if you knew exactly how to trigger her true desire? Not by being someone you're not, but by finally becoming who you were meant to be. This isn't manipulation, it's revelation, and you're about to receive it. Before we dive in, comment, "I'm waking up," if you're ready to stop being confused by women and start understanding how to live and lead in full clarity. This will change everything for you. And I mean everything. Number 1. She prioritizes you. When a woman genuinely wants you, the universe around her begins to reorganize, not by force, not by manipulation, but through a pull so natural, so undeniable, it reveals itself in every corner of her time and attention. And if you've ever found yourself anxiously checking your phone, wondering why she hasn't replied for hours, while knowing she's posting on social media and laughing in other men's comments, then you've felt what it's like to be last on a list you were never truly part of. But contrast that with the woman who responds instantly, even when she's swamped with work. The one who checks in with a simple "thinking of you" without you asking. Who rearranges her weekend, shifts dinner with friends, even sacrifices sleep to talk to you just a little longer because she sees your presence as a gift, not a chore. This isn't about romantic poetry. This is about priority, because love, real love, shows up. And when it doesn't, you feel it in your bones like an echo in a room that once held laughter, but now sits empty. And here's the cold truth most men don't want to admit. If you have to beg for her time, if you have to constantly ask her to make plans or follow up just to be seen or heard, then she doesn't prioritize you because she doesn't value you in the way you deserve. And it's not about being bitter. It's about being awake. And too many men keep hoping that effort will create attraction, that patience will earn love, when all it does is create imbalance. And that imbalance crushes your spirit slowly over time until one day you wake up and realize you were just a background character in her life. Someone she kept around not because she was all in, but because you were convenient, safe, and always available. And that's not love, that's utility. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start to value your own time like gold. And when you do, the game changes, because you stop chasing women who never saw your worth and start building a life so full of meaning, focus, and unshakable peace that only those who truly see your value will fight to be part of it. And if you want to know how to embody this starting today, begin by owning your time. Look at your calendar and ask yourself if you're filling it with purpose or just trying to fill a void with attention, and then stop replying instantly to texts that go nowhere. Stop rearranging your world for people who wouldn't do the same. Set boundaries with joy, not with bitterness, and fill your days with actions that build the man you were meant to become. Lift weights not just for strength, but because discipline breeds pride. Read not just to be smart, but to be sharp, to be discerning, to think clearly, and start your mornings early, not for hustle, but to win the day before the world wakes up. Because when your life becomes a fortress of focus, she'll either want to step into it with reverence or walk away with respect. But you will no longer lose sleep over a woman who doesn't prioritize you, because your attention will become too sacred to waste on someone who only reaches out when she's bored or lonely or seeking validation. And that's when everything starts to shift, because now you're not chasing, you're attracting, not because you're trying to impress, but because your gravity has changed, and the woman who truly wants you will not make you guess. She will make herself available, she will check in, She will invest without needing reminders, and she will honor your time like it's rare because to her, it is. Number 2, she mirrors your energy. There's something unspoken that happens when a woman is genuinely drawn to you. Not a performance, not a mask, but a resonance, a natural alignment that doesn't need to be requested. And if you've ever had to explain to someone why they should treat you with the same respect, the same kindness, the same attention you give them, then you already know what it's like to deal with someone who is not aligned with your energy. And the reason this hits so hard is because as men, we're often taught to lead everything, the conversation, the plans, the tone, and while leadership is necessary, it becomes destructive when it's not reciprocated by effort. And a woman who truly wants you doesn't fight your rhythm. She leans into it, not because she's weak, but because she feels something in you that calls her forward. And she adapts, not because she's trying to win you over, but because your presence inspires her to elevate. And imagine this. You decide to stop drinking because you're focused on building a stronger version of yourself, and suddenly she stops ordering cocktails too. Not because you asked, but because she respects your evolution and wants to support it. You begin waking up at 6 a.m. to work on your business, and she begins texting good morning instead of staying out late and sending memes at 2 a.m. That is alignment, and it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's subtle but powerful, and it tells you everything you need to know, and most men miss it because we're so used to carrying everything on our backs, the conversations, the connection, the effort, and we confuse chemistry with one-sided interest. But when a woman is genuinely into you, her actions will start to reflect your standards, your pace, your values, and she'll begin to match the intensity you bring, not out of obligation, but out of desire, because she's pulled into your flow, not by pressure, but by purpose. And you see this when she starts caring about what you care about, when she reads the book you mentioned casually, when she starts showing up at the gym you go to, when she asks questions about your work, not just to flatter you, but because she's genuinely intrigued by what drives you. And you won't need to ask her to respect your time, because she already will, because your energy has created a space where respect is the default, not something you have to negotiate. And the way you begin embodying this today is by getting brutally honest about what energy you're carrying, because if you're scattered, passive, inconsistent, always chasing comfort, then she has nothing to reflect. But if you build a life of clarity, consistency, and conviction, she will sense that. And if she's meant for you, she will reflect that. So start by writing down the top 3 non-negotiables in your life, things you must uphold no matter who comes or goes. Then structure your daily habits around those non-negotiables and enforce them not with aggression, but with calm certainty. And when she sees that you rise at dawn to journal, that you say no to drama, that you shut down gossip and stay loyal to your vision, she will either rise with you or remove herself. And both outcomes are blessings, because now you know who's aligned with your path and who's merely clinging to your presence. And in a world that rewards shallow attention and punishes depth, your energy will be the filter. And the woman who truly wants to build with you will not just stand beside you. She will move in step with you, not because you demanded it, but because the weight of your vision invited her into a rhythm she never knew she needed, until she felt it. And when she begins to walk in step with your values, your discipline, your energy, not because she's trying to please, but because she's drawn to your direction, that's when you realize how rare this connection truly is. If you've ever questioned how to build a bond like this from the inside out, where mutual respect and shared standards become the foundation, then the Stoic relationship blueprint is your next step. It's more than a book, it's a compass. Inside you'll find answers to the questions that have haunted you for years. Why do the women I choose never stay? How do I stop attracting chaos and start building peace? What kind of man must I become to lead with quiet strength? This isn't a one-time read, it's a lifetime guide, yours to keep forever. Linked in the comments. Download it today and own the blueprint that will reshape your relationships, and more importantly, your entire way of living. Number 3, she touches you. A woman's body will speak long before her words ever do, and when she truly wants you, it shows up in the smallest movements, in the way her hand brushes against yours and doesn't flinch away, in the way her shoulder leans just a little too close in conversation, in the way she lingers after a goodbye hug, holding on to something she doesn't even fully understand. Because when attraction is real, touch becomes instinctual, and not necessarily sexual, but intentional, connected, seeking a closeness that logic can't explain. And if you've ever sat next to a woman and felt her subtly pull away the moment you got close, if you've ever noticed her fold her arms, angle her body away, or recoil when you grazed her hand, then deep down, you knew she didn't feel it, and you tried to dismiss it, to tell yourself she's just shy, she's just not used to affection. But you ignored the clearest signal the body can send, because when she is into you, she finds reasons to be near, excuses to initiate touch, and you won't have to guess if she's okay with it, because she'll show you with open posture, warm glances, and physical cues that don't lie. And this is something men often overlook, because in a world where we're told to constantly question our own perceptions, we forget that we were built to read body language before we ever learned to speak. And if a woman never initiates closeness, never finds little moments to reach for you, she's likely not drawn to you in the way you hope. And the problem isn't always that you're not attractive. It's that you haven't given her anything to feel, and touch follows feeling. So if you want to understand how to evoke that kind of connection, start by being fully present when you're with her. No checking your phone, no nervous over-talking, no trying to fill every moment with noise. Instead, make your presence calm and grounded. Give her space to feel the energy between you, to miss your closeness before it happens. Because when your presence becomes safe, solid, and aware, she naturally leans in, not because you asked her to, but because her body craves that steadiness, and you see it in how she laughs. Not just at your jokes, but through her whole body, leaning forward, tapping your leg, touching your arm, and you see it when she fixes your collar, tucks something from your beard, finds excuses to playfully nudge you. And these moments aren't random. They're instinctual signals of comfort, affection, desire. And it's your job to observe, not to force, because any man can try to initiate a kiss. But only the aware man senses when she already gave him permission with her proximity. And to become this man, you need to train your presence. Spend time in real spaces, not digital ones. Look people in the eye, ground your thoughts before you speak. Let her feel that you're not waiting for permission to exist. You're not desperate to be liked, you're simply at peace. And when you operate from that place, your energy shifts from seeking to offering, and the right woman, the one who's into you, will start to show it without words, without grand gestures, in the way she reaches out for your hand while crossing the street, in the way she sits closer on the couch, in the way her leg touches yours and doesn't move away. And when you start noticing those signs, really noticing, you'll realize that most of what you thought was mixed signals was actually a lack of attraction. She was too polite to admit. And when you see the difference, you'll never again chase after someone who pulls away, because now you'll be busy cultivating a presence that invites the kind of touch that isn't just about lust, but about real connection. And that starts not with making a move, but with making your energy something she wants to move toward. Number 4, she gets jealous. You can tell how much a woman truly cares about you by how she reacts when she feels she might lose your attention. And I'm not talking about toxic outbursts or petty drama. I'm talking about that subtle flicker in her eyes when another woman laughs too hard at your joke, the way her tone slightly tightens when you mention someone new, the casual yet loaded "who's that?" when a name she doesn't recognize comes up, because jealousy isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a pause, a shift, a question laced with hidden tension, and when a woman feels something real for you, she can't help but guard that space, even if she pretends to play it cool, even if she tells herself she's not the jealous type. And this is one of the clearest ways you can tell whether you're just a nice distraction or someone she's emotionally invested in, because when she doesn't feel anything, she'll actively encourage you to meet others. She'll be completely indifferent when you cancel plans. She'll show zero curiosity about your whereabouts, not because she's mature, but because she's unattached. And we as men have been conditioned to ignore this, to believe that jealousy is toxic and unattractive, when in reality, a lack of jealousy from someone who claims to be into you is far more revealing than any overreaction. Because if she's never a little bit possessive, never slightly territorial, never shows even a whisper of protectiveness over her space with you, then chances are she's not truly in it. And the mistake most men make is to confuse toxic control with genuine attachment. And yes, they are different, because a woman who likes you will not try to control your life, but she will make it clear that your attention matters to her. And you'll see this not in her declarations, but in the small reactions. She'll ask more about your friend from work. She'll probe gently into your plans. She'll act slightly cooler than usual when you post a photo with another girl in it, not because she's insecure, but because you matter, and that matters. And if you want to experience this shift, to have a woman actually care about where you place your time, it starts with becoming someone whose time is worth guarding, and you do that by building a life filled with purpose, social energy, and value. Not because you're trying to provoke jealousy, but because you're actually living a life that's rich in experiences, and from that space, you stop being available 24/7, you stop replying within seconds, you stop giving every ounce of attention to someone who hasn't earned it. And when you do that, the women around you begin to feel it. They begin to sense that they're not the only ones in your world, and if she's truly into you, she'll react, even subtly, and you'll see it in the way she starts texting more frequently, in the way she initiates plans more often, in the way she suddenly shows up looking her best after a few days of uncertainty, because jealousy, when it's real and healthy, is the mind's way of protecting emotional investment. And when she's truly invested, she doesn't want to lose what she hasn't fully claimed. And as a man, you must understand this without needing to exploit it, because the goal is not to make her feel insecure, but to make your life so meaningful and abundant that your attention becomes valuable by default. And you can start doing this today. Build your network, deepen your skills, strengthen your body, become more socially present, say yes to new opportunities, stop canceling your plans for women who wouldn't blink if you disappeared. And as you do this, you'll notice something powerful. The ones who never cared will fade, and the one who truly wants to be in your space will begin to protect it in subtle, beautiful ways, not with words, but with effort, not with drama, but with presence. And the man who recognizes this, who sees the difference between emotional investment and passive interest, will never again chase what's unwilling to fight for him, because now you'll know that jealousy, in its honest form, is not a flaw. It's a signal that you're finally being seen as someone who could be lost. And that kind of weight is earned, not begged for. Number 5. She's nervous yet invested. When a woman truly feels something for you, you'll sense it not in her confidence, but in her hesitation, not in how loud she speaks, but in the tiny cracks between her words, because her nervousness doesn't come from fear, it comes from meaning. And if you've ever sat across from a woman who laughed too loud, talked too fast, played with her hair or picked at her nails while trying to keep eye contact, then you've witnessed what it looks like when someone's heart is trying to pace itself beside you. And it's not because she's weak or unsure of herself, but because to her, your opinion matters, your presence matters, your energy matters more than she expected, and you can feel this difference. When a woman sees you as just another nice guy, she's smooth, she's flawless, she's charming and witty, never missing a beat, never showing vulnerability because there's nothing at stake for her. But when she likes you, when she really sees you as someone she's emotionally pulled toward, the armor falls away, and that's when you'll hear the stutters, the pauses, the overthinking slip out between her otherwise polished words. And the tragedy is that most men overlook this entirely, because we've been taught to chase the effortless, to believe that if a woman isn't completely poised, she must not be high value. When in truth, the woman who shows nervous energy around you is often the one most drawn to you. Because nervousness without distance is emotional risk, and emotional risk means she's invested. And if you want to attract that kind of depth instead of surface-level attention, then you need to create a space where emotional honesty can actually exist, and that begins with how you show up. Not overly loud, not trying to impress, but centered, clear, grounded in who you are and what you stand for, and the way you walk into a room, the way you sit across from her, the way you speak with purpose instead of pretending you don't care. That's what creates that nervous investment in her. And once it's there, you'll see how she starts asking if you like her hair that way, if you like that restaurant, if you think she's interesting, and those questions aren't ego. They're vulnerability masked as curiosity. And when you give her a space where she feels safe enough to not be perfect, she'll start showing you the most authentic version of herself. The one who sends texts and immediately follows with, "Sorry, was that too much?" The one who tries on 3 outfits before your date, not for vanity but because she wants to be seen by you. And this kind of investment isn't rare. It's just rare that men recognize it. And to make sure you don't miss it again, start by watching how she reacts when you give her a compliment. Does she brush it off with cold indifference, or does she smile a little too hard and look away? When you speak about your goals, does she nod with generic approval, or does she lean in with curiosity and ask what your next step is? These are signs of real emotional weight, and the man who learns to read them, who doesn't confuse calm with care, who understands that awkwardness can be a doorway to intimacy, will unlock a level of connection most will never touch. And if you want to start seeing this in your own life, build a foundation that encourages others to drop their masks. Start speaking slower, ask questions that matter, be the man who listens with his full presence instead of waiting to talk. And as you create that environment, you'll begin attracting women who are nervous, not because they don't know what they want, but because they already know they want you. And that weight is making their heart beat a little faster than usual. Number 6. She tries to impress your inner circle. The woman who only sees you as temporary will treat the people closest to you like set pieces in a scene she's just passing through. But the woman who sees you as her future treats your friends, your family, your tribe with respect, attention, and genuine interest. Not because she's pretending, but because she understands one sacred truth. The people who shaped you still surround you, and if she wants to walk beside you, she'll want to be accepted by those who've already walked with you. And this isn't about her being perfect or overly polite. It's about effort. It's about how she leans into the dinner conversation with your parents instead of texting under the table. It's about how she laughs at your best friend's dumb stories, even when they're not funny. Not because she's fake, but because she's trying to build rapport with the people you trust. And if you've ever introduced a woman to your friends and noticed her scrolling on her phone, giving one-word answers, making zero effort to connect, then you've seen what it looks like when someone sees your world as disposable. And that feeling of realizing she only likes you in isolation but doesn't care for your world should be a red flag so loud it echoes, because a woman who truly sees value in you will instinctively seek closeness with the people who matter to you, and men ignore this all the time because we're desperate to make it work. So we excuse her disinterest in our circle. We brush off her dismissiveness toward our siblings. We call it shyness when it's really indifference. And we rationalize everything until one day we realize we've built a connection that's only strong when no one else is watching. But if you want something real, something that lasts, you have to pay attention to what she does when you're not the center of attention. And that's when the truth shows up. And if you want to attract a woman who's willing to integrate into your life, not just exist alongside it, then you need to create a life worth integrating into. And that starts with building meaningful relationships outside of dating, deepening your friendships, honoring your family, showing up for your community. Because when you have a strong circle, you'll see instantly who tries to add value and who just wants the benefits of your presence without the burden of commitment. And here's how you apply this. The next time you're with someone new, introduce her to your inner circle and then watch. Don't tell her what to do. Don't coach her on how to behave. Just observe how she handles the moment. Does she remember names? Ask follow-up questions? Seem genuinely interested? Or does she count the minutes until it's over? And more importantly, after the interaction, ask your people how they felt. Your friends see what you can't when emotions are involved. And if they raise concerns, listen. Not because they're always right, but because they often see with clear eyes what your heart is too close to notice. And when you find the woman who walks into your world and genuinely wants to be part of it, who wins over your people, not by trying to dominate the room, but by showing warmth, interest, humility, hold on to her, because that's the kind of partner who's not just into you, but into building a life with you. And when you have that, you'll know it's not just about chemistry or attraction, it's about alignment. And it shows up most clearly in how she shows up for those who show up for you. Number 7. She asks deep questions about you. There's a moment, and if you've experienced it, you never forget it, when a woman looks at you not like you're just another man trying to impress her, not like you're someone she's figuring out if she can tolerate, but like you're a puzzle she genuinely wants to understand, a story she wants to read word for word. And that moment comes not through flattery or flirtation, but through questions, real questions, the kind that catch you off guard and leave you thinking long after she's asked them. And these aren't the surface-level ones, the "what do you do for work?" or "what kind of music do you like?" No, these are the ones that go deeper, the ones that peel back layers and make you feel seen, like when she suddenly asks, "What drives you to keep going when everything's against you?" Or, "What's something you've never told anyone because you're afraid they wouldn't understand?" And when she asks that, there's a pause, because part of you is shocked. Not because it's a hard question, but because someone finally cared enough to ask, and this is the part no one tells you. When a woman is truly drawn to you, when she's emotionally invested, when she wants more than just to pass the time with you, she will ask these kinds of questions, not because she's curious for sport, but because she's evaluating something deeper. She wants to know what's beneath your confidence, what shapes your pain, what defines your hope. And most men are so starved for this kind of attention, for this kind of emotional nourishment, that they spill everything the moment it happens, and sometimes they spill too much, because they've never had anyone look them in the eye and say, "Tell me more." But what you have to understand is this. A woman asking you deep questions is giving you an invitation to connect, not a command to unravel, and it's in how you respond, in how grounded and self-aware you are, that she'll decide whether you're just interesting or worth the risk of emotional investment. And here's where men often mess it up. They think vulnerability means trauma dumping or over-explaining or venting everything just to feel understood, when in reality, she's looking to see if you know yourself, not if you're perfect, Not if you've healed everything, but if you've faced your own story with honesty. And if you want to become the kind of man who attracts these deep questions, who commands that level of curiosity, then you have to start with yourself. You have to look at your life and ask the hard things before she ever does. What am I avoiding? Why do I want what I want? What patterns keep repeating, and what does that say about me? And once you start answering those questions, through journaling, through reflection, through living with more intentionality, you begin to radiate a depth that calls for depth in return, and the women who feel this will begin to ask more. They'll ask about your past, your vision, your fears, your dreams, and when that happens, listen closely, because her questions will reveal more than her compliments ever could. And if she's asking you about your values, about your definition of loyalty, about your views on family, then she's not just making conversation. She's seeing if her world could fit beside yours. And to nurture this kind of energy in your relationships, stop chasing small talk. Stop settling for the woman who only wants fun and convenience, and start cultivating spaces where honesty lives. Take her somewhere quiet. Ask her what she believes about purpose, about pain, and then share your truth slowly, not as a performance but as an offering, not to be liked but to be known. And if she stays, if she keeps asking, if she keeps going deeper, that's your sign, because women don't dig where there's no treasure. They don't open doors. They don't want to walk through. And when a woman starts asking about your heart, your mind, your core, not just your status, your salary, or your muscles, then you've found something rare, something sacred. And it's your responsibility as a man not to mishandle that, but to rise into it, to become someone who welcomes real connection. And the only way to do that is to live a life you're not afraid to share. Because if your story is honest, your values are firm, and your direction is clear, then her questions will only bring you closer, not expose your insecurity. And one day, when she looks at you and says, "What kind of legacy do you want to leave?" you'll smile, because you'll know she's not just falling for you, she's falling with you. If you felt the weight of confusion, the regret of wasted years, the pain of giving your all only to be discarded like you never mattered, it's because no one ever handed you the blueprint. You were thrown into the battlefield of relationships without armor, without guidance, and told to just be nice while watching the world reward chaos. But that ends today. The Stoic relationship blueprint is not just a guide. It's the manual every man should have been given before his first heartbreak. It strips the illusions, it shatters the lies, and it hands you the truth, raw, precise, unfiltered. No games, just what works. It's linked in the comments, and it's yours forever once you grab it. If you're ready to break the cycle, comment the Stoic blueprint below. Let it be your signal that you're done being confused and ready to lead. Like the video. Subscribe. Because every action you take helps another man avoid the heartbreak you survived. And maybe, just maybe, saves him years of regret.